So we finally reached the point where Marcus Rashford leaves the football club. Marcus Kareem Walid Rashford has left the building, or is leaving the building. The boy from Carrington, the boy from Wythenshawe, the boy that was 11 years old, captured on Google Maps, waiting for a lift to Carrington to go and play his football for his boyhood club. He is finally leaving the club at 27 years old. It's an interesting one. There's ups, there's pros, and there's cons to it. Massive pros, massive cons. But we've got to that point, and surprisingly, the football club that are after him is Aston Villa, or the football club that his destination will be is Aston Villa. Now, did I expect that? No. Did he expect that? I don't reckon. Did his agents expect that? I don't reckon. Did Aston Villa expect that? I don't reckon. Because the John Duran deal has scrambled their heads. The Barcelona situation has scrambled their heads. AC Milan situation has scrambled their heads. I don't think anyone saw this coming. I think this is a very much you cannot stay on the bench. You cannot be rotting away in the stands. You have to get your move now. You need to go and play football now. And the destination is Birmingham. Aston Villa. Guys, let's get into this. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn your notifications on. Let's get to 25k. At 25k, I'll do a Q&A. I'll do a conversation, maybe a giveaway at 25k, depending on the situation. But guys, let's get into this, man. Let's get into this. Rashford. You know what, right? Let's talk about the links first of all for when he was linked to moving with the club. Obviously, he was meant to be going to Barcelona, which apparently that he was holding out on. I remember I went on Sky and I said that, I think Barcelona is a club that Rashford might go to. And in the comments, everyone was saying, this guy doesn't know anything. Like, how can he think Barcelona will come for him? And look what happened. All summer, or all January, it's been Barcelona that were one of the football clubs. But they can't afford him. They can't register him. They're struggling to register Olmo. They still have Ansu Fati on the cards, which they wanted to sell, but he wants to stay. And I forgot who the other player is that they needed to move on, and he stayed as well. So they can't afford him. That's the reality. They can't afford him. Now, they've chased him, and they may go back for him in the summer, but the situation is going to have to be a lot different. Right now, Marcus Rashford is, according to the internet, Marcus Rashford is on £300,000 a week. Now, we're going to go into that in a bit. But they couldn't afford him. Then there was clubs like AC Milan, Borussia Dortmund. Apparently Tottenham approached. Tottenham, by the way, are getting violated left, right, and centre. Rash don't want to join you. Tomori don't want to join you. Matthias Tell don't want to join you. It's embarrassing what's going on over there at Spurs. But this isn't a Spurs episode. This is a Marcus Rashford episode. But apparently those clubs were in for him and they were trying to put in packages for him, but his eyes were set on Barcelona. Now, even if you look at Dortmund, they have Gittins in that position. You look at Barcelona, would he have even started? Rafinha's on Ballon d'Or charge. Lamine Yamal is one of the best players in the world. Lewandowski is scoring goals and he's a striker. And if Rashford going to pay 9, who knows? But there has been a lot of talk about where Rashford is even going to play for Aston Villa as well, because he might be playing as a 9. Is he going to be replacing Watkins, or is he going to be starting on the left-hand side? It is going to be interesting to see what he does there. But with those teams that were after him, the big issue kept being wage. The big issue kept being how they're going to afford him. Who's going to pay the amount of the most money in terms of the splits? Is it going to be the club, or is it going to be Manchester United, or is it going to be their clubs? There was all these up and downs about what's going to happen with this transfer or with this loan or whatever it's going to be. There was always the issue about the money. And Rashford, yeah, he had his heart set on Barcelona. I know Barcelona for a fact. Barcelona and Rashford have spoken for a few summers. So have PSG. I know that. So I think PSG and Barcelona are two teams that he would have wanted to go to. However, you look at Desiree Due, you know how I'm trying to say. Desiree Due. You're looking at Kvara now. You're looking at Barcola, Dembele. They're stacked on the wings. So again, where does Rashford find himself in these teams? That is the question. Where does he find himself? So this is what leads me to be talking about. This is why, there's been times I've always said that I feel like Manchester United are probably the most laughed at football club amongst owners in the world. I reckon they get into board meetings and say, Man United are paying him how much? Yo, Man United bought our player for how much? Because as we can see right now, nobody is silly enough, or nobody in their mind believe Rashford is worth that level of money, or to the point they can't even afford it. Only football clubs at Manchester United will be paying 300,000 to Marcus Rashford. Let me name the players that are above Rashford in payment. He's got KDB, best player in the league, or in best player of his generation. Erling Haaland, best striker to play in the Premier League in the last how many years? Mohamed Salah, top 3 player of his generation, a Premier League legend. I just named 3 Premier League legends. And then guess who come here? Casemiro, again, stupidity from Manchester United. 350k. Marcus Rashford, 300k. That's the money. That's the level. And these players are getting only 50k more. That's the level of player you need to be at to be receiving that level of money. You look, Bernardo Silva's up in there. People that have won things, people that have done things, people that have achieved it all. That's the type of money you get. And Manchester United love to throw money at the wall. And other football clubs, this is why Man United struggle to sell. This is why it's always loans. Because we feed these people's appetites. We say, oh, yo, you've done something for us. We need you, we need you, we need you. And then now when it's time to move on, there's no market. There's no market because teams can't afford it. So what's going to happen is that in the summer, Rashford, if he's going to leave, which he will, is going to have to take a massive pay cut. And listen, I'm not here to watch his pockets or anything. I'm here to speak about it solely from a Manchester United point of view. When you put this type of money, when you invest this type of money into players, you're going to need that level of output. You're going to need that level of performance to the Mo Salahs, to the Erling Haalands, to the Kevin De Bruynes. You can't just be throwing money at the wall, and that's the issue with Man United. Look, Casemiro will leave, but look, we can't get him out at the moment, and Marcus Rashford is going to leave. So United need to now be smarter in business, and I think that is what a big thing that Ineos are trying to do. They're trying to be smarter in business. They are trying to be. But it's going to take a time. It's going to take a while. It's going to take patience. Let's look at what Marcus Rashford has done at Manchester United. Rashford has scored 138 goals for United in 426 games. Listen, I do think it's a bittersweet moment. I do think Rashford needs to leave the club. I think 3 of the last 4 seasons he's been poor, and that can be replicated in the stats, let alone the performance. I don't think Rashford has been a great performer through 90-minute games since 1920. I think 2019-20 season was Marcus Rashford's best season. 17 goals in the league, 22 goals, all comps. I know he scored when he went insane, but I don't think his performances were that great that season. But he was putting the ball in the back of the net. His ratio, I think, it was 1 in 2 in 2019-20. That was my favorite season of Rashford. I thought he had it right to a T in terms of performance and goals. And that's when Martial was in a good moment. That's when Mason Greenwood was there. It was just a very good moment for Man United. That's my favorite season for him. Obviously, you have the nostalgic feelings of when he broke through with LVG and stuff like that. That was amazing. We love their moments. But you look at the last 4 seasons, Rashford, 32 games, 5 goals. Next season, 56 games, 30 goals, unreal season. Next season, 43 games, 8 goals. This season, 7 goals. So really and truly, you see the inconsistency. 3 of the last 4 seasons, he hasn't been good. So just on a pitch matter, Rashford has not been good enough. Let's just have it right. Forget all this team are trying to get him out because of money. These guys are trying to, because they're sabotaging his image, and he hasn't been good enough on the pitch. Let's be honest. He hasn't. And when you make that money, when you are at that status, you are going to be on the chopping block. That's the reality. In any walks of life, people, if you are the highest earner, if you go to a business and you're the highest earner and you're making the most money, they demand the most from you. And if you ain't doing well, the CEO, the company owner, is going to look at it and be like, where's my money being invested? Yo, what? Hold on. The data analyst, he's making this much money and Nothing's been coming through. Yo, he's got to go. That's just the reality of business. Stop trying to separate business and football. That's the reality. They are businessmen. That's what's going to happen. And when you're putting out performances like that, when you're putting out stats like that, it ain't going to cut it. It ain't going to cut it. Not to mention the off-field issues. We know Marcus Rashford has had off-field issues. He had off-field issues with Ten Hag. He's had it with Ruben Amorim. He went out a night before football games. He said he's sick. He was out. We know he's had a lot of off-field issues. Anyone that lives in Manchester and all this type of stuff, they could tell you. I'm not here to gossip about Rashford's life, but it's the reality of the situation. It's disciplinary issues, you know? And I always said, I think, in his defense, I think the burden of being the Man United Carrington boy for such a long time in a failing squad, he is the face, unfortunately, he is the face of a failing Manchester United era. That will weigh on you. That will weigh on you. So I understand why he will probably have his body language down, or it's pressure. It's a lot of pressure. You know, Man United have failed in many aspects too. Man United's recruitment has been a disgrace. Man United's handling of the football club has been a disgrace. Ed Woodward era, a disgrace. John Murtough era, a disgrace. So I fully understand in certain instances the pressure. I always said I think he should have left. I said we shouldn't have paid him as what we paid him after that 30-goal season. But I also said he should have left last summer, which he did try to do, to be honest. But I think he should have left. I really do. I do not think he should have came into this season with Manchester United. Needed a fresh start. I do always mention that pressure can kill any person. So what I'm happy for him is that he's going to Aston Villa, which now, Aston Villa, in terms of the club size, I don't think it's the type of club that he thought he was going to end up at. I thought he was going to go to a Cat A football club, you know, big prestige, and go and do his thing. Now, Aston Villa, no disrespect to them, fantastic club, doing it in a fantastic moment. And that's the most important thing. They're in a fantastic moment. And you're looking at them in the Premier League right now. I'm just searching them where they are in the table. Aston Villa are sitting 8th in the table, but they are only 4 points off top 4. So they're in a top 4 race at the moment. I don't think they're going to get top 4, but they're in a top 4 race. They play Champions League football. So on paper, he has upgraded. He's going to a situation which is a lot better than Man United. Let's have it right. He's going to a situation which is a lot happier, which is a lot more positive mood than Manchester United at the moment. Now, the disappointment is, I don't care. I wouldn't have wanted Rashford to go to another Premier League club, 100%. But the reality is, you cannot have a man resting on the bench in the stands, which also will stop you from trying to go and get another player. So Rashford has to go. He has to go. And the only takers is Premier League clubs. Because why? Premier League clubs have this. They have money. They have wealth. So that's why I think, listen, I'm not writing off Chelsea. I'm not writing off Arsenal in the summer. I do think those are two destinations that Marcus Rashford might end up at in the summer. I just have a feeling. Because you can afford it. It's the same thing with Jadon Sancho. It's gonna be a cut price deal to one of these clubs, in my opinion. But Aston Villa, that's gonna be a boost for them. Well, maybe not a boost, because Duran was really offering a lot for them. So we'll see how Rashford plays. I know Rashford seems like a very emotional guy, so it's gonna be interesting to see how he reacts to playing for another team in the Premier League and also not getting the move that he really, really wanted, according to the reports. So that is going to be super, super interesting to see how he gets on. I wish him the best, because we need the money. Reality is, I like Rashford as well, but we need the money. We need him to do well, so Man United can recoup as much money as possible. So people look at it and say, hey, yeah, Man United with issue. Yeah. And they go and buy him. Because if he fails at this loan, it's a very tough situation. That's probably just another loan that he's going to go on. And then the cycle continues. And that's not what you want. But in the end, listen, guys, I think it is a very sad situation. I think it's a sad situation where for a Carrington player who's scored over 100 goals to be leaving the football club in this way. Because he's leaving the football club in a negative way. I hope not, but I don't even know if the United fans will clap for the guy when he plays, or if they're going to boo him. I actually don't even know. And the fact that I'm even saying that is disappointing. Rashford, for what he's done for the club, or for who he is or what he represents, should be, you'd expect if he was ever to leave Man United, by the time he comes back, he should get applause and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know what it's going to be like. I truly don't know what it's going to be like. you know? So in the end, he ends up leaving in a similar way for me. Like maybe not because Martial had injuries and Martial didn't have a problem with the manager, but he's leaving out the back door in a similar way to Martial. You know, the numbers started going down, the performance started going down, and out the back door. But now it's down to Ineos to go and get someone in this summer. In this January right now to replace him. I think it's looking like Tell. Let's see if it happens. Let's see if that happens. But I think all in all, a lot of people want to remove the blame from Rashford. They want to blame Man United. I think both parties are involved here. I think Manchester United's handling of the squad. I think Manchester United's handling of Marcus Rashford, who we pushed to be a superstar, which maybe he didn't ever really warrant that, has had a negative effect on him, in my opinion. We gave him the money, it had a negative effect. But also Rashford. A lot of people want to remove blame from him. Nobody told him to be going on these nights out. Nobody told him to have these disciplinary issues. His performances on the pitch haven't been good enough. Everybody's got to be accountable. And one thing the internet like to do is take sides of, oh, I'm player FC, oh, blah, blah. Nah, man, the reality is both have a lot of blame to take. A lot of blame. And Ruben Amorim, I don't know how people be blaming Ruben Amorim. One thing I don't like is what Ruben Amorim said about the goalkeeper coach thing. But if you watch the video, it's not as bad as it seems on the quotes. But I didn't like that. I think he should have just never addressed that. Just say, hey, listen, I've spoke about Rashford already. Leave me alone. I'm not talking about it again. But he keeps talking about it, which is just fueling the stupidity, in my opinion. So I didn't like that. But the fact that people are trying to villainize him for just wanting simple professionalism from Marcus Rashford is crazy. Let's not forget Ralph Rangnick came into this football club. Yes, it was for different reasons, but Ollie once upon a time said Rashford maybe just needs to prioritize football now, because obviously we know with all the off-field stuff, with the MP stuff and all that, started affecting his football. He said just needs to focus on football. Ralph Rangnick put him as one of the people that need to go. Ten Hag had his issues with him. And now Amorim, new manager, comes in and Rashford is out before derby days and stuff. Let's just have it right. That can't run. It just can't. And I don't know how people are trying to villainize Amorim for it, but for wanting simple professionalism from a football player. And I'm looking at Aston Villa squad. Let's look at Aston Villa. So where would he start? So Jacob Ramsey currently has been playing on the left-hand side. I think that's a role that Rashford can take. Rashford, Morgan Rogers, Leon Bailey, and Ollie Watkins. It's a good front three if Ollie Watkins can survive. If he's not going to go to Arsenal, we'll see what happens there. But Rashford can slot into that team and add something to them. He really can, but it has to be the happy Marcus Rashford. It has to be the Rashford that wants to be there. But there's going to be a lot of eyes. There's going to be a lot more eyes on Aston Villa now. There's going to be a lot more pressure. But it's going to be so interesting seeing Rashford in a Aston Villa kit. It's so random. So random. You know, there's that meme that's going around where it's like, there was somebody that posted something like, in Rashford in 3 years or something. And it was like a mixture of him and a Bonglahor. And it's so... it's so mad that is actually going to happen. Rash Bonglahor, they're saying. Listen, it's absolutely crazy. But listen, it's happened now. Marcus Rashford is leaving the building. Marcus Rashford is going to be an Aston Villa player, it seems. Unai Emery is going to use him. I think Unai Emery is very good with attacking players. So let's see what happens. But one thing is, we need Rashford to hit. It's disappointing that it's ended this way. But overall, I think the last couple of years just haven't been good enough. And it was inevitable. Man United now need to get their signings right. Man United now, I always said, like, if you haven't, and I think Ineos said the same thing, 2 seasons, if you're poor for 2 seasons plus, or 2 seasons or plus, you have to leave. And I'm looking at Anthony loan. Hopefully he gets sold. Malacia, Rashford, obviously Casemiro is probably going to leave. Eriksen's probably going to leave. Lindelof's probably going to leave. You're slowly getting a clear out here. And then you're getting to the Mason Mounts, who I think he's going to survive this summer, but the next summer, I think he'll be gone. The Rasmus Højlunds. If you're poor for 2+ seasons, Joshua Xerxes, if you're poor for 2+ seasons, you need to leave the football club. That's just the reality. But the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you're not giving people these ridiculous wages. You know what I'm saying? So it's all part and parcel. But guys, make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe, turn your notifications on. Let me know in the comments if you made it this far. What is your favorite Marcus Rashford moment at Manchester United? And also let me know what you think about this move to Aston Villa, what you think of Rashford at Man United, what do you think about the whole situation? What is my favorite Marcus Rashford moment before I leave? You know what? It's random. Obviously, I love the goal against West Ham when he was in 15-16. Oh, I love that. I love his debuts, of course. Forget about when he first started, because you just love them moments. You know what? There was this header that he scored. I think it was against West Ham in that season when he was doing this. I loved that goal. It was, I don't know what it was. It just felt like he had just turned the corner. Like now he's become this beast. That Rashford is scoring headers. It was a great, great moment. But I wouldn't say that's my favorite moment, but that's just a moment that's sticking in my head at the moment. It's one of my favorite goals for Rashford, actually. You know, actually, when he scored it, when Jose Mourinho returned to Old Trafford with Spurs and he scored that goal, that shot into the near post, I absolutely loved that as well, man. Rashford once upon a time was my guy, man, but all things have to come to an end eventually, man. Guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn your notifications on. Let me know what you think. It's your boy, Coach Cams. I'm out. Peace.